Long before Ireland became the land we know today, it was a place of gods, magic, and epic battles that shaped its destiny.
In this special series of the Echoes of Eire, we'll uncover three monumental moments in Irish mythology. The two battles of Moytura, where the Tuatha Dé Danann rose to power and faced their greatest challenge, and the arrival of the Milesians, which brought the Age of the Gods to an end.
Today, we begin with the Tuatha Dé Danann and the First Battle of Moytura, a conflict that pitted the divine newcomers against the Fir Bolg and established the Tuatha's place in Irish myth.
In the episodes that follow, we'll focus on the legendary figures who shaped the events leading to the Second Battle of Moytura. After that, we'll dedicate an entire episode to the epic battle itself, where the Tuatha Dé Danann face the Fomorians. Finally, we'll conclude the series with the arrival of the Milesians, marking the end of the Age of the Gods and the beginning of a new chapter in Irish mythology.
So join us as we step back into a time of gods, warriors, and battles that echo through the ages. Let's begin with the arrival of the Tuatha Dé Danann and the First Battle of Moytura.
All right, let's dive deep into this, the First Battle of Moytura.
Ooh, yes.
It's a big one, right? Like pivotal moment in Irish mythology.
Oh, absolutely.
Full of magic and betrayal and those epic battles we love to hear about. And you know what? We even have some scholarly guides to help us try to pronounce these Irish names.
Oh, good.
They're famously tricky.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, beyond the captivating narrative, though.
Yes.
What does this battle really tell us about ancient Ireland? You know?
I think it gives us a glimpse into a real clash of cultures, beliefs, and how they viewed power.
Yeah, and we've got these two fascinating groups, right?
Yes. Right.
Let's start with the Tuatha Dé Danann.
Yeah.
These weren't just your average settlers.
No.
They were almost mythical in their arrival. Like they descended upon the shores of Ireland, and they had all this knowledge that would seemed magical, I think, to the people who were already there.
Oh yeah, they were shrouded in mystery for sure.
Yeah. So how is their arrival described in the sources?
Think like a fleet of ships appearing out of thin air, shrouded in smoke. That's how the Lébar Gabála Érenn, this ancient Irish text, describes it.
Whoa, hold on. Lébar Gabála Érenn, that sounds intense.
It is. It's basically like the Book of Invasions, a kind of mythical history of Ireland. And according to it, the Tuatha Dé Danann just showed up descending from the sky. Talk about making an entrance.
Wow, I bet that got everyone's attention. So they just appear out of nowhere, all smoky and mysterious. And so they came from these four cities of learning.
Yes.
Felias, Gorias, Murias, and Findias.
Yes, those are the ones.
What did they learn in those cities?
Well, they honed their skills in magic and craftsmanship.
Okay.
Warfare, all the important things.
Yeah, I mean, talk about making an entrance, right?
Yeah, that's quite an entrance.
So they didn't come empty-handed, though, did they?
No, they did not.
They brought with them these four incredibly powerful artifacts.
Each one, I think, represents a different facet of their power, Yeah. You've got the Stone of Fall, said to roar when touched by the rightful King of Ireland, a symbol of their connection to, sovereignty, destiny.
That's amazing. It's like straight out of a fantasy novel.
Right.
So what about the other artifacts?
Okay, so there's also the Sword of Nuada, said to be unbreakable, guaranteeing victory in battle.
Whoa, so they're not messing around.
No.
Akin to rule. Okay, so what about the other two?
Well, you have the Spear of Blue, possessing, devastating, destructive power.
Yeah.
Which, points to their mastery of magic and their connection to the gods.
Yeah.
And finally, the Cauldron of the Dagda, said to have an endless supply of food, symbolizing their ability to provide for their people.
Okay, so they were going to take care of their people.
They were.
Okay, so we have this incredible group, the Tuatha Dé Danann, advanced knowledge, powerful magic, these amazing artifacts.
Yeah.
But Ireland was already inhabited, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Who were they coming up against?
The Fir Bolg.
A Fir Bolg.
Okay. People very connected to the land, skilled farmers, builders, warriors in their own right.
Okay.
But their way of life was far more, I'd say, grounded, far less reliant on what may appear to be supernatural abilities.
Right, so you have this fascinating contrast, almost like two different worlds colliding.
Exactly.
And it all comes to a head where...
The plains of Mahturd, yeah.
Mahturd, okay.
Yeah, the chosen battleground where these two forces clash to dominate Ireland, yeah.
So what does Mahturd mean?
It means plain of towers or plain of pillars.
Oh, okay.
So it already had a sense of ancient significance before the battle even took place.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And who are the leaders of each side in this epic battle?
All right. Well, leading the Tuatha Dé Danann was Nuada,
okay,
a figure of, authority, strength. He embodies their ambition, their claim to rule.
Yeah.
And for the Firbolg, their king was Eochaid mac Éirc.
Eochaid mac Éirc. That's a mouthful. Was he as impressive as Nuada?
He was definitely a strong leader, known for his wisdom and his ability to unite the Firbolg in the face of this incredible threat.
So you've got these two powerful kings, each leading their people into a battle that will decide the fate of Ireland. Now, I'm really on the edge of my seat. Tell me everything about this epic showdown.
All right. Let's get into it. The sources, they don't shy away from the brutality and the intensity of the fighting. It was ferocious, no holds barred. Both sides were incredibly determined, very skilled.
Yeah.
There are descriptions of, individual acts of bravery, feats of strength, and also the terrible toll it took on both sides.
It sounds chaotic. I mean,
it was
a real clash of two ways of life.
Oh, yeah.
Was there any particular event during the battle that stands out in the sources?
The Battle of Mahturd was nothing short of legendary. We're talking fierce fighting, incredible feats of strength, and of course, a healthy dose of magic.
Magic, like spells and stuff, or more like the magical artifacts?
Both, actually. The texts describe the Tuatha Dé Danann using their magical skills to influence the weather, create illusions, and even heal their wounded.
Wow, that's next level. Sounds like they had a serious advantage. Did the Firbolg have any magical tricks up their sleeves?
Well, the Firbolg were known for their strength and resilience. They might not have had the same level of magical prowess as the Tuatha Dé Danann, but they were fierce and determined fighters.
Okay, so it wasn't a complete walkover.
Yeah.
So how did it all go down?
Yeah.
Who landed the first blow? Were there any, surprise attacks or epic duels?
The battle raged for days, with both sides refusing to back down. The Lebor Gabála Érenn doesn't hold back on the details. It describes a brutal, chaotic clash, with heroes on both sides performing incredible feats of strength and courage.
Wow, a battle for the ages.
Yeah, in the heart of all this chaos, there's a duel between Nuada and Shreng.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that, each of them representing the hopes and the fears of their people, locked in this fight that could decide the fate of Ireland.
Oh my goodness, it's like this whole battle comes down to these two guys.
It does, it really does. A microcosm of the whole thing.
Then what happened?
Well, the sources even mention that Shreng demanded that they fight with swords only, no magic.
Whoa, no magic. So he's up against a magical opponent and saying, no, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way.
It's a testament to his honor, his desire for a fair fight, even though he's facing, an enemy with extraordinary powers.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes you like him a little bit.
Right.
This guy who's going up against these odds, these seemingly insurmountable odds, and saying no magic.
Yeah, he wanted to test his strength against Nuada's strength.
Wow. Okay, so how did this epic duel and the battle itself finally come to an end? Did the magical might of the Tuatha Dé Danann prevail? Or did the Firbolg manage to hold their ground, spill the beans?
Well, in the end, the Tuatha Dé Danann emerged victorious. Their superior skills, combined with those powerful artifacts, proved too much for the Firbolg to overcome.
So the Tuatha Dé Danann won, but was it a total victory? What happened to the Firbolg? Were they completely wiped out?
Well, they weren't completely wiped out.
Yeah.
The Tuatha Dé Danann offered them a choice. To submit to their rule or to take a portion of Ireland for themselves.
Oh, okay, so they were given options.
They chose to settle in Connacht, a province in the west of Ireland.
Okay.
So they ceded power to the Tuatha Dé Danann,
right,
who then became the dominant force on the island.
So the first Battle of Mahturd really was this turning point.
Right.
The beginning of the Tuatha Dé Danann's reign in Ireland.
It was. It really set the stage for everything that comes after.
And I think that's what's so fascinating is how this one battle ripples through so much of Irish mythology.
Oh, yeah.
It sets the stage for so many of the stories and power dynamics that come after it.
Exactly. It becomes like this foundational myth for Ireland, shaping their understanding of their own history, their identity.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not just the battle itself, it's the aftermath that I think is really fascinating, right? You have this new power structure in place. How did the Tuatha Dé Danann rule? What was their relationship like with the Fir Bolg after the conflict?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And hopefully one we can get into.
We can, yeah. Yeah, it's a good question.
So how do they rule?
Well, the sources paint a kind of complex picture, I guess you could say. The Tuatha Dé Danann, even though they won, they weren't like tyrannical rulers.
Okay, so it wasn't just about brute force.
No, not really. I mean, they brought their knowledge and their magic to the land, but they also allowed the Fir Bolg, to keep their own traditions, their way of life.
So it's not just a complete erasure.
No, not at all.
Of the existing culture.
Right. I mean, and this is where those 4 cities of learning, I think, become important.
Okay.
Remember, Phaelius, Gorius, Murius, and Findius.
Yeah.
These weren't just about magic. There were places where they studied the arts, craftsmanship, law.
Right. So it was like a holistic knowledge base.
Exactly.
Not just
spells and sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they brought all those skills to Ireland, and I think that knowledge was probably shared, adapted.
That makes sense.
Over time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So with the Fir Bolg defeated and the land divided, did the Tuatha Dé Danann finally get to enjoy their hard-won victory? Did their golden age begin?
Well, let's just say their troubles weren't over just yet. Remember Nuada, their king?
Yeah, the brave warrior king. What about him?
Well, during the battle, he suffered a serious injury.
Oh, no. What happened?
He lost an arm in the fighting.
I can't imagine losing an arm is good for anyone, let alone a king whose whole deal is being a warrior. What happened? Did they just, put a fling on it and call it a day?
Well, not exactly. Remember, we're talking about a society where physical wholeness was pretty much a requirement for being king. You had to be seen as, a perfect, complete leader.
So no pressure there. So what did they do? Did they find a new king?
Not right away. They turned to their, let's call him their miracle worker. Dain Sect was his name.
Dain Sect.
Yep, Dain Sect. He was like a master craftsman, a healer, and a bit of a magician all rolled into one.
Sounds like a handy guy to have around.
Absolutely. And Dain Sect steps up to the plate. He creates a silver arm for Nuada.
A silver arm? Seriously? Like a prosthetic arm, but super fancy.
Exactly. And it wasn't just any old silver arm. It was said to be just as good, if not better, than Nuada's original arm. He could move it, use it in battle, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about ancient medical tech. So, problem solved, right?
Yeah.
Nuada's got his new arm. He's back in action. Good to go.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But things in Irish mythology are rarely that simple. Even with his shiny new arm, Nuada's position as king wasn't exactly secure.
Oh no. What happened? Did someone challenge him for the throne?
You could say that. Enter Bress.
Bress? Who's Bress?
That, my friend, is a story for our next episode.
The Tuatha Dé Danann, though, they would eventually face their own challenges, wouldn't they?
They would.
I mean, the arrival of the Milesians.
Yes.
The ancestors of the Irish people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ushered in another whole era.
Another era of conflict, transformation.
Yeah, so the saga continues.
It does. Their story doesn't end here.
Right, and that's a whole other deep dive.
Maybe we'll get there someday. Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've explored the arrival of the Tuatha Dé Danann, their clash with the Fir Bolg, the impact of their victory, and even some ways these ancient stories resonate with us today.
Yeah, we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
But I think it's good to pause and reflect. What have we really learned here? What stands out to you?
Well, for me, it's the duality of the Tuatha Dé Danann.
Okay.
They're portrayed as these powerful warriors, but also these wise scholars.
Yeah.
Capable of great destruction, but also incredible creation. There's this tension that's present in so many mythologies.
That's like they represent the potential and the peril of knowledge and power.
Exactly. And I think that duality, it reflects something really fundamental about human nature.
Yeah. I mean, we're all capable of great good and great evil.
We are.
Building up, tearing down.
Yeah.
And the choices we make determine which one prevails.
It's a powerful reminder that we all have a responsibility, to use our own knowledge, our own power wisely.
Yeah, to think about the consequences of our actions and try to find that balance, that harmony.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty profound.
It is.
And it makes you think.
It does.
That these ancient myths, they're not just stories.
No, they're reflections of us.
Yeah.
Of our fears, our aspirations, our capacity for both great things and terrible things.
And by exploring these stories, we can actually get a better understanding of ourselves.
I think so, yeah.
It's really amazing how these ancient myths can still resonate with us today, you know?
That is.
Thousands of years after they were first told. They offer these little glimpses into human nature.
They do.
Into these challenges and choices that we all face.
Yeah, it's the power of myth, I think.
Yeah.
To transcend those boundaries of time and culture.
Yeah.
And offer this language that helps us explore those universal truths about what it means to be human.
We've been on quite a journey, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
From the arrival of the Tuatha De Danann in this cloud of mystery to their epic clash with the Firbolg on the plains of Ma Turid, we've encountered magical artifacts, delved into ancient cities of learning.
All in a day's work, right?
All in a day's work.
For a deep dive.
And we've explored the complexities of cultural exchange and adaptation. We've even attempted to navigate those tricky Irish pronunciations.
I think we did a pretty good job.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up our deep dive into the first battle of Ma Turid, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder.
Ooh, a final thought.
A final thought.
To spark their imagination.
Exactly. So we've talked about how this battle might be seen as a metaphor for the arrival of new cultures, new ideas, new ways of life.
Yeah.
But what if we go a little deeper?
Okay, I like where you're going with this house.
What if the Tuatha De Danann and the Firbolg aren't literal groups of people, but represent different aspects of ourselves?
Ooh, okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so think about the Tuatha De Danann. With their magic, their advanced knowledge, they could represent our yearning for innovation, for progress, for pushing the boundaries.
I see.
While the Firbolg, with their deep connection to the land and their more traditional way of life, could embody that need for stability, for roots, for belonging.
Right, almost like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly, yeah. And so the first battle of Ma Turid could be seen as this representation of the internal conflicts that we all face. You know, that struggle between embracing the new and holding on to the familiar.
Right, that tension between progress and tradition.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it.
And it reminds us that balance is key, right? You need both that innovative spirit of the Tuatha De Danann and that grounded resilience of the Firbolg to thrive, both as individuals and as a society.
I agree.
So as you go about your day, listener, think about the Tuatha De Danann and the Firbolg within you.
Okay.
Embrace the magic of new possibilities. But remember the importance of your roots.
Yeah.
Find that balance that allows you to grow and evolve while staying true to yourself.
That's a great takeaway. And, maybe, just maybe, by understanding these myths, by recognizing their echoes in ourselves, we can actually navigate the complexities of our world with a bit more wisdom and a lot more compassion.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the first battle of Ma Turid.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time.